Furiosa is out, and before I say anything that is critical of this movie or any movie with a female lead, I want to make sure it's well established that it is my inherent and well-honed sexism that is causing me to say those things. So it has nothing to do with the actual merits of the movies themselves or of the performers, the writing, the structure, the context, nothing like that. Has nothing to do with that. It's my my sexism, which is just billowing out. So that being established, Furiosa is a kind of spin-off or sequel, no, not sequel or prequel, or shequel of Mad Max Fury Road, which is one of the better action movies to come out in a very long time. Now, Fury Road, and one thing that I didn't realize, I hadn't watched it actually in a long time, and I still haven't watched it again. I had watched it several times, but in watching it repeatedly, I actually realized the smuggled in wokeness of the era that I hadn't realized when I first watched it. Now, I saw it in theaters, looked gorgeous, looked amazing, and it was such a fun movie and had so many practical effects and so many cool things that it didn't really stand out. But I remember after I had seen it, there was this kind of double-edged thing with, what's the actor's name? Who plays Max? Matt Riddle or something? What's his name? I can't remember his name. But yeah, so he played Max, the mad one, and starts out, he demonstrates the fact that he's pretty angry. I think he had reason to be angry because there's a little ghost girl chasing him around. That pissed me off too. And then some people blew up his car, which would suck as well. So he's angry about that. But what turns out, and was both annoying and interesting at the time, but more annoying now, is that it wasn't really, the whole story, the whole movie wasn't really about Max. It was more about Furiosa. It was like he was kind of a side character, which in context, it's like, it's kind of cool that the main character is the side character and you have this other story. So you could have Max just traveling around and he gets into other people's stories. That's kind of how other Mad Max stuff happened. So it made some kind of sense and you appreciated that to some degree. But it was also a little annoying because it's a Mad Max movie, but it's mostly about Furiosa. And at the time, which is something that I didn't give contextual significance to, is that virtually every single action franchise was doing this thing where they were swapping the male protagonist for a female simulacrum. You know, it's happening all through, I mean, at the time, this was like really early in this process, but since you've had it all through Marvel, this has been the case that virtually every major hero has been swapped to a female version of that hero. You had it in Ghostbusters, you had it in the Oceans franchise, I think you had it in Rocky. You just had it all over the place that the male protagonists were being swapped for female approximations. But at the time in Fury Road, it wasn't as prevalent, so I don't think it was something to pay attention to as thoroughly. But in this case, so there are a number of reasons why I think this thing flopped, even though it's gotten pretty good reviews. And George Miller did an amazing job on Fury Road. But I think initially, the first thing that came to mind is that really, Mad Max Fury Road was more about Furiosa than it was about Max. Obviously, it was about her story. It was her setup. It was her taking the decision, making the decision to flee from the guy with the skin condition. And it was her backstory. It was her trying to get home to a place and deciding to go, return and save people and all that stuff. So, it had very, very little to do with the actual story of Max. And that was like 9 years ago or something like that. So it's been way too long to actually keep caring about this franchise. At least as it was rebooted, they don't have that momentum anymore from that movie. But then so when it was announced and it was supposed to be, Furiosa and it was about her explicitly, then I was immediately disinterested. I was already annoyed that it was so much about her in the first movie, so it doesn't make sense to do a whole nother one that was just about her again. Apparently George Miller, before he even made Fury Road, he was looking forward to making this spin-off about Furiosa and whatever, I don't know. Maybe he just wanted to cast his girlfriend or something. It was too much Furiosa in a Mad Max franchise. So I was already annoyed on that front. And then he adds the fact that she is tiny. Like, that is a tiny ass girl. I really like the fish girl, whatever her oh God, what is her name? Samantha or something? So I really like Samantha, the fish girl. She was good in The Menu. I know I've seen her in some other stuff. She played chess or something. And yeah, I actually like her a lot as an actress, but she's just, I'm so sick of, I think I saw a comment like this too on some video where they were just saying that anytime they see anything even kind of girl bossing in an action context, that they just immediately turned off. And we've been screwed over way too many times in the recent past with this whole idea that it's just completely uninteresting. And for me too, it's gotten to the point where even though this is getting good reviews and it's in a franchise wherein the previous movie was really enjoyable, I just don't want to see it. I don't want to sit through it. I don't care. I don't want to do it. Now, obviously, fundamentally, there's this archetypal thing wherein it makes more sense for both sexes to see a man in this kind of an action role and have this kind of central action posture. It just makes more sense. That's why no women showed up to this either. That's why, even in sports that are supposed to be this indirect or metaphorical representation of warlike activity, people are just more likely to watch and be invested in the male version, and the women don't show up for the female versions of those things. So you've already got that thing that's holding you back when it comes to the archetypal first impression of a thing like this. So like I said, I saw her, she was just tiny. She's supposed to be this action star now. She's going to be this focal action point where she's doing all sorts of physical things. I don't buy that nonsense. And then in addition to it being the first one already having been about Furiosa, so I was annoyed about that too. And movies are effing expensive now. Jesus Christ. I think the last time I went to see a movie with somebody, I took a chick, and it was, what was it? I think it was Oppenheimer was the last one I went and saw. But I don't know, I'd spend like $60 or $80 just to go see a movie. That kind of a thing used to be like $20, you know? So that was annoying in itself. And so just from the jump, it was so long since the last movie, and she looks tiny, and it's just like rubbing it in that the first one was more about Furiosa than Max, and more girl bossing. Any kind of whiff of girl bossing is just annoying. So all those things combined, and now you got a movie that is doing absolutely horrendously. The first one didn't actually do all that solid numbers. Like, it seemed like it made some money, but it only got like $380 million on a budget of 160 or 170 or something like that. So it probably made a little bit of money, and then, when it goes to streaming and sales after that and stuff, so it makes a little bit more. But now this one is just, it's doing pretty abysmally over a Memorial Day weekend. And I'm not going to go see it. I'm not going to watch it until it comes out on streaming. I'll have a look. But my God, have you seen how far apart that girl's eyes are? I don't think that we talk about this enough. It's actually a really important thing. She might have a significant advantage. This is something I didn't consider. She might have a significant advantage when it comes to an action situation because she can see so much more of the battlefield. So I did not initially consider that. There was that other one too. That other one that came out recently. It was like, what was it called? Fall Guy? Was that based on the video game? I think it was based on the video game, Fall Guy. Well, it had the woman who's married to John Krasinski. And it also had that guy who was in Barbie. And it was supposed to be like a mixture. They are just explicitly just saying, women, will you please show up to movies? You're more than half of the population. If we just get you to show up to an effing movie, then we can make so much money, but you're not listening. Because they showed up to Barbie. That was the thing about Barbie too. What on the surface, on the most superficial level, what is Barbie? What did it look like? When you saw that, when you saw posters, when you saw Margot Robbie, doing whatever, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt or whoever the lead is in that, when you saw those people doing that stuff, what was the first impression that you got from it? It's Barbie. It's infantilizing women. It's just saying that, no, this is a super simple, very feminine, very low intensity. It's not going to demand a whole lot of you. You could just come here and have fun while you're being infantilized just to having seen this thing. And it just blows up like crazy because people get to wear, that's like every girl that I knew, she was just talking about how she was going to wear pink to the premiere or when she went and saw the movie. And then they said it's hilarious and yay girl bossing and all that stuff, but it was written by what's his dude who was married to the director, and I think they wrote it together, but it's primarily, I think he snuck in some stuff, and I'm gonna watch the whole thing and figure it out, but I think he snuck in some stuff that kind of undermined the whole feminist narrative for a modern audience, but I'll see. But like I said, from the jump, in the opposite way, what did Barbie do? It was appealing to the very feminine, very straightforward, archetypal female idea, and they turned out in droves, over 1 billion, whatever. It did extremely, extremely well. And then this one's the opposite of that. It's like shoving a tiny woman into some action context and just saying that, oh yeah, no, but the stunt guys are... they're gonna listen to direction, so she's gonna be fine, so don't worry about it. It's like, what's the point? Why do I need to see this? It's just like the stupid Marvel movies, where we had some of the biggest movies in history. One of the Avengers movies made over $2 billion or something like that. Why were they so popular? Was it because they were thrusting all these women into powerful roles? No, it was because the women went there to go see like Captain America and be charmed by Tony Stark and put themselves in the archetypal roles where it came in. They were still second fiddle to all the men who were doing all the big physical stuff. Where the women still got the respect that was deserved, and they still got to accomplish things and do physical things, even like with Scarlet Witch and Scarlett Johansson. Wait, those aren't the same person, right? And Scarlett Johansson, who was the Black Widow thing. But she could handle herself, and she did great. There was not even a consideration of maybe she could beat the hell out of Captain America. Okay, I'm just going to say this. Isn't it kind of tragic that those two never got together? That they weren't the romance thing? Like, he had that one blonde girl. The one, you forget her face while you're looking at her face. That blonde girl. So he had that one, and then the elderly lady that he wanted to bang in the bed while she was dying, but he didn't get a chance to. But shouldn't Black Widow and Captain America, I know she has, a bit of a history, she's for the streets, but shouldn't she? I feel like they should have gotten together, right? Is that what most people think about that situation? They had great chemistry. They have that meme that went around about him taking his pants off. I mean, they had good chemistry. They should have been together. I think I was supposed to be talking about Fall Guys right now. That's where it started, wasn't it? I think that's where it started, this little thread where I started talking about Captain America and Scarlett Johansson. Shit. No, so the point is, in this Fall Guys movie is the chick from Sicario, what's her name now? The Victoria Lickerbottom. So Victoria Lickerbottom, she is like the director of this movie, and he's a stuntman. And then he gets involved in some things that are actiony, and is involved in some things that are romantic. And so they're trying to marry the two genres so they can get everybody. And they said some of this explicitly in some of the advertising. It's like, oh, look, it's an action movie for him, and it's a romance for her. But she's the director, and just, again, archetypally, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right on the surface. So you already lost a lot of people just based on the fact that it doesn't fit our general archetypal conception of the way things work. I mean, I get it because it's a stuntman, and it's funny that the stuntman ends up in real life stunts and whatever that twist is, but they were just trying to capitalize off the Barbie hysteria, and they went the opposite direction archetypally, and what happened? Nobody went and saw it. Nobody wanted to see it. So freaking hell. I don't know. It's just, it's really annoying because this Furiosa thing, I just wanted a Mad Max sequel. I wanted Max again, and just to see it again. I liked, it was Tom Hardy. I remember his name now. So I liked Tom Hardy in the role, even though he was really stoic and mum. He didn't have many things to say much of the time, but he did really cool things, and there were hints of his character as you're going through that I thought it was just exciting, and it was enjoyable. So I just really enjoyed it. But Furiosa, who gives a... and what's her name is a freaking big, insane lib person, and I just love that people are figuring this stuff out. Figuring out that the government is the source, and all these celebrities are freaking idiots who just pretend to be on your side because they're being manipulated by much smarter and much more powerful people who are just trying to gain more for themselves. Charlize Theron, that's who it is. Whatever, she's insane. She has no understanding of anything, and apparently her and Tom Hardy got into it on the first set, and they hated each other. And she obviously didn't get cast in this because it's supposed to be a young Furiosa, and they're both tiny women, they're both beating people up. But this is another thing, though, and we can establish this, and this is totally fine, because she was apparently in another, not apparently, she absolutely was, it's not allegedly here, I don't have to cover my bases. She was in another movie that was an action movie helmed by a woman. It was called Atomic Blonde. I think it was. And this handled this kind of genre with a woman at the helm in a much more intelligent way. Because she often got her ass kicked and she had to overcome these much larger men with ingenuity and intelligence and all that kind of thing. Instead of, we have compliant stuntmen, that's why she wins. At least that's what I hear when it comes to that. I didn't watch the whole movie. Just like I haven't seen Furiosa, and I'm still talking about it. But anyway, it's just, I think you have to heed the things that we've been for centuries. For more than for millennia, for millions of years, have been heading one direction, and now they're saying, "Oh no, well, just do the other because it would be helpful for us to get more women because we're so Neanderthalic in the way that we think about these things. It'd be more helpful for us to get a bunch of women in here spending money on our product. So we're just gonna, like, in the most base way imaginable, try to appeal to women." Because of what they're saying nowadays when it comes to feminism. You know, within the last 50 years, out of the history of our entire species, now we're going to change the entire narrative related to what we are. So whatever. You guys are idiots. Hollywood's stupid. Everybody who goes down this line of, oh, well, we can just pander to women in these really superficial ways, and that's going to work, right? You guys are complete idiots. Women, whatever they say out in public or whatever they say to, you know, when they're interviewed or whatever they answer in a survey, they still want the same things they've always wanted, and they still want to see the things that they've been looking at for the last however long, and whatever you do or whatever they say, or that's not going to change. So yeah, Furiosa, whatever, do your thing. If it is an actually good movie, on the surface it has this bullshit, but it's actually a good movie and well made, which is likely the case because George Miller did it, and he did well on the last one, then it sucks that a good movie has to suffer in this context, but it really is, it's annoying. We've reached that crescendo of just stop with all the terrible storytelling just because you're trying to manipulate people into giving you more money. There are things that make a good story, that make it resonant and believable, and that's one of the things that I've been doing recently. I've been going back and watching just reactions of this generation to great movies of previous generations. And it's amazing how much more connection they have to those. And you'll watch a movie today and you'll be like, that was a really good movie. I enjoyed it. Which is the dumbest thing that I've ever said after I watched like the Episode 7 Star Wars. I remember going to talk to my friend that I worked with, and we were talking about it afterwards. Like, yeah, that was a good movie. That was so good. And it's great seeing Star Wars back, and I can't wait for the next one. Oh man, I'm going to go see it again. And then I just had this disgusting feeling. Like, something's not right, though. I don't know. Something doesn't feel right about this whole thing. And then when I thought about it and then watched it again, then I was like, Jesus Christ, this is actually really bad. This is a really, really bad movie. It's really poorly written. It's really superficial. And my God, how professionals did this? And then it just got worse and worse and apocalyptic after that, where I realized it's one of the worst, most horribly conceptualized and written things that I've seen. And it was the beginning of all of the terrible things that have happened since when it comes to entertainment. So I definitely know that I was talking about something else before I went on that tangent. I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what it was at all. Not even a little bit. Anyway, yeah, that's whatever. That's Furiosa. And, if you've seen it, let me know. And if it's actually a good movie with complex characters and people who have weaknesses, instead of pandering to women, be like, oh, rah, rah, women, right? So come buy our movie, which does not work. It really does not work. Women are not as superficial as they pretend to be. That is not how any of that works. So anyway, I hope that was something. I don't know what that was, but I hope it was something. And I hope all is well, and I'll see you in further future episodes. Bye.